So good afternoon, everyone. Good evening, everyone. I hope you're all doing great. So today we are going to learn a beautiful lesson, a lesson with a message, a strong message. By the end of the lesson, I will ask you what message did you understand or did you receive from the lesson, and I hope to get a lot of answers. All right. So without further ado, let's begin. I would not want to summarize the story and spoil the fun. So we'll not waste time. We'll straight away start with the lesson. I hope you're all ready with your pens and pencils to write down the meanings wherever required. So let's go. The Happy Prince. The statue of the Happy Prince stood high above the city. It was covered with gold. Its eyes were bright, blue jewels, and a red jewel hung from its waist. Everyone thought that it was very beautiful. So, guys, this first paragraph of the lesson describes the appearance of the statue. Okay, so you can note this down that the first paragraph describes the appearance of the statue. If they ask, okay, what did the people admire about the statue, or why did the people admire the statue? Your answer would be it was covered with gold, its eyes were bright blue jewels, and a red jewel hung from its waist. Everyone thought that it was very beautiful. Okay, so this would be your answer. So, guys, what we need to understand over here is that it was covered with gold. There's a difference. It wasn't made up of gold completely. It was only plated with gold. So from the within, it was made up of maybe lead or maybe iron or whatever other metal. But on the outside, it was plated with gold. Okay. Its eyes were bright blue jewels. So bright blue precious stones are called sapphire. Okay. I hope you know that it's called sapphire. And the red jewel is called ruby. सो उनकी जो आंखें थी वो स्टैचू की वो ब्लू सफायर उसमें डाला हुआ था और उसका जो वेस्ट था यानी मे बी जो बेल्ट रहेगा उनके एज यू कैन सी हियर इन द पिक्चर जो बेल्ट है इट हैड अ रूबी सो पीपल थॉट इट वाज वेरी ब्यूटीफुल व्हाई आरंट यू लाइक द हैप्पी प्रिंस mothers said to their little boys when they cried. So kids usually have a habit of crying on the roads and the streets if they want to buy something, if they want to have something, and the mother is not allowing or not, letting them have it. So students or children usually cry. So the mothers will tell the children, the boys, why can't you be like the happy prince? What is that one quality that the mothers are expecting that the little boys also have? What is that one quality of the happy prince that you think the mothers expect from the little children? Yes, happiness. Mothers also wanted their children to be happy. तुम लोग भी खुश क्यों नहीं रहते? इतना रोते क्यों रहते हो? है कि नहीं? Just a second. Really sorry to stop for a moment. Yeah, we can continue. Right. So mothers wanted their kids to be happy, to be cheerful like the happy prince. Sad men looked at the statue and said, I'm glad that someone in the world is happy. So जो लोग sad होते थे life में, वो लोग उस statue को देख के बोलते थे, चलो कोई तो खुश है इस दुनिया में, हम तो नहीं है, कोई तो है. One night a little swallow flew alone over the city. Okay, so do we know what is swallow? Do we know what is a swallow? Yeah, swallow is a bird with a forked tail. Okay, it's a bird with forked tail. Right. So one night rather, a little swallow flew alone over the city. His friends had gone away, but he had stayed behind for 6 weeks. Why do you think, guys, why do you think that birds keep migrating from one place to the other? You can raise your hand and you can answer. Yes, one reason could be food. Yes, Hitesh, hi, you can answer. Yeah, Hitesh, hi.
Hi, sir.
Yeah, tell me.
Sir, because they want to research more about something.
No, Hitesh. No, it's actually about the weather and the food. I'll explain a little more. Thank you so much. Yeah, so it's of course it's because of food and it's also because of weather. Uh, there are certain countries where the weather is really harsh for birds, and these birds cannot withstand the harsh conditions, and that is why they migrate from one place to another place where the conditions are suitable for them. For example, a lot of Siberian flamingos during the winters in Russia, in Siberia, they fly from Siberia and they come all the way to India on the western coast of India. They also come to Mumbai. Now their arrival and their migration has reduced a little to Mumbai because we are a polluted city and we are unclean and we are dirty and filthy. So they don't prefer coming here. But earlier, when things were better in Mumbai, they would come and they would stay here till the winters because the winters in Mumbai are not winters at all. They're actually warm. Summers are hot, but winters are warm. थोड़ा कम गर्म होता है विंटर में लेकिन गर्मी तो होती है. सो यहाँ पर जो स्वैलो थी इसके जो दोस्त थे वो चले गए थे फ्लाई करे कहीं तो भी लेकिन swallow had stayed back for 6 weeks. Where can I stay tonight? He thought. कहाँ रहूँ आज? Then he saw the statue. I will stay there, he thought. It is high up, so there is plenty of fresh air. So then he comes across this golden statue of the happy prince, and he tells himself, I will stay here tonight. काफी ऊपर भी है, it's pretty high up, and there's a lot of fresh air, plenty of fresh air. Plenty is a lot of ample quantity of fresh air. He landed between the feet of the happy prince. I have a golden bedroom, he thought. So, happy prince के जो feet थी, उसके नीचे उसके नीचे वो बैठ गया and he just told himself कि आज मैं golden bedroom में रहूंगा. Why do you think does he tell himself that he's going to stay in a golden bedroom today? Why does he use the phrase golden bedroom? What is so gold about that place? Yes, because our prince was covered with gold, so he tells himself that I'm going to stay in a golden bedroom today. Very good. All right. Uh, but as he put his head under the wing, a large drop of water fell on him. So the moment he put his wings on his face to sleep, there was a huge drop of water that fell on him. All right. He looked up. That is very strange, he thought. There is not a cloud in the sky, but it is raining. अजीब बात है ऊपर क्लाउड बिल्कुल नहीं और यहाँ बारिश हो रही है. Then another drop fell. I cannot stay on a statue that does not keep me dry. इतना बड़ा स्टैचू के नीचे रहकर क्या मतलब अगर मैं गीला हो जाऊंगा तो. I must find another place. And he decided to fly away. But as he opened his wings, a third drop fell. He looked up and he saw, what did he see? The eyes of the happy prince were full of tears. Tears rolled down his golden face. The face was very beautiful in the moonlight, and the swallow felt sorry for him. So, when the third drop fell, he saw Put, and he saw that the golden, beautiful face of the prince was actually teary eyed. So, students, what do you think? Is this a real story or is it a fiction? Of course, it's a fictional story, it's an imaginative story. All right, so guys, if the question is what were the drops that fell on the swallow, what answer would you give? Yes. The drops that fell on the swallow were actually the tears that fell from or that rolled down the golden face of the happy prince. All right. Thank you for your answering, for your answers rather. The swallow felt sorry for him. Maybe I felt bad for him. Who are you? Asked the bird. I am the happy prince. Then why are you crying? I am wet with your tears. So उससे पूछा तुम कौन हो? मैं happy prince हूँ. अरे बेटा happy है तो रो क्यों रहे? That was the next question. Because I become wet because of your tears. When I was alive, said the prince, I had a heart like every other man. But I did not know what tears were. I lived in a palace where there was no sadness. Right? So he says, I lived in a palace where there was no sadness. What does he mean by I lived in a palace where there was no sadness? Please explain to me in the chat. Why do you think he says, I lived in a palace and there was no sadness? Yes, I'm getting some wonderful answers. See, a palace is a place where there are a lot of riches of the world. बहुत wealthy जगह होती है और जगह जहाँ wealthy जगह होती है जहाँ पैसा होता है वहाँ आपको लाइफ में ज़्यादा ऐसा एक्चुअली देखो ऐसा नहीं होता है the richest people in I'm sure a lot of people think that Mr. Ambani would always be happy. He would have no tensions and worries. But ऐसा नहीं होता है. Everyone has their own battle and money cannot buy happiness, that's for sure. Money can buy luxury, yes, but you cannot buy money with happiness. But यहाँ पर they say that he was always happy because he had a lot of money, he had all the riches, he had all the comfort and luxury. He lived a lavish life, a royal life. So he says, I never knew what tears were because there was no sadness in the palace. In the daytime, I played with my friends in a beautiful garden, and in the evening, I danced. There was a high wall around the garden, but I did not know what lay on the other side. एक बड़ा सा गार्डन था जिसके आजू बाजू वॉल था तो मुझे पता ही नहीं है कि एक्चुअली में सैडनेस होती क्या है. He says. So I was called the happy prince. People called me a happy prince. Uh, Gargi, I am really sorry that I will not be able to add Bhagya once again because I've removed her once, and once we remove, you cannot enter. And I had to remove her because her video popped up twice or thrice. And as you all know, it disturbs anyone and everyone, and that's why you have to be very careful and you have to make sure that the video doesn't get on. Right? But anyway, you will get the link of the lecture so you can ask her to go through it. Swayamvara, why do you want to change your name? Your name is perfect. Don't change it. Anyway, let's get back to what we were doing. So he said, because I did not know what lied on the other side of the wall, because I was always happy, I was called the happy prince. I was pleased with my little world. मैं मेरी छोटी सी दुनिया में बहुत खुश था. मेरे को कोई फर्क पड़ता नहीं था कि बाहर की दुनिया में क्या हो. Now I am dead. अब मैं जिंदा नहीं हूँ. They have put me up here. I can see all the unhappiness of my city. My heart now is made up of a cheap metal, but even that poor heart can feel, and so I cry. So he says, और अब भी मरने के बाद जब मुझे यहाँ डाल दिया गया है, तो अब मुझे दिख रहा है क्योंकि मैं इतना ऊपर हूँ. I can see the entire city, and I can see that almost everyone is unhappy. And now my heart is made up of a cheap metal, yet I still cry because I can feel the pain. Oh, said the swallow to himself, he is not only gold on the outside. Guys, what does this line mean? When the swallow tells himself, He is not only gold on the outside. इसका मतलब क्या है? You can answer in the chat. Yes, he is as gold as his exterior is. He is gold from within as well. सिर्फ बाहर से ही गोल्ड नहीं है, उसका दिल भी गोल्ड का है. Far away from here, said the happy prince, in a low voice, there's a poor house in a little street. Through an open window, I can see a woman at a table. Her face is very thin, and she has rough red hands. She's making a dress for one of the queen's ladies for a dance in the palace. So, guys, what do you mean by queen's ladies? You can answer in the chat. What do you mean by queen's ladies? Yeah, the queen's maid. The queen's maid, yes. No, it is not the queen's daughter. Queen's maid. जो queens के personal servants होते हैं ना, जो उसको in those days, of course, a queen would not have bath on her own. There would be servants who would help her have bath. There would be servants who would help her dress. There would be servants who would help her make hair. There would be servants to do her makeup, to dry her hair. So one of the queen's maid, उसका एक पार्टी के लिए उसके गाउन वो ड्रेस बना रही थी वो उसका. Her little boy is lying on a bed in the corner of the room. He is very ill. He is crying because she can only give him water from the river. Little bird, will you take my red jewel to her? I cannot move from here. So बेटा problem ऐसा है कि वो जो औरत है who is making the dress for the queen's lady, she's very poor. She doesn't have money right now. Her son is ill, and the only thing that she can give to her son is some water from the river. She doesn't even have money to purchase food. So little bird, छोटा सा काम करना. ये जो मेरे waist में जो red jewel है ना ruby, उसको निकालना and go and give it to her. I would have given it to her, but I cannot move as I am a statue. My friends are waiting for me in Egypt, said the swallow. So why do you think have the friends gone to Egypt? Because Egypt is a warm country. And maybe the place where swallow lives, that place is maybe cold and chilly. So that's why the friends have already reached Egypt and the bird is yet to reach. All right. little bird, said the prince, please stay. The boy is crying and his mother is so unhappy. The happy prince looked very sad, and the little swallow was sorry for him. It is very cold here, बहुत ठंड है यहाँ, he said. But I will stay with you for one night. मैं एक रात के लिए रुक जाता हूँ. Tomorrow I will take the jewel. Thank you, little bird, said the prince. So the swallow took the great red jewel from the prince's waist and flew away with it over the roofs of the town. He passed the palace and heard the sound of dancing. The palace में party चल रही थी. The bird passed over the river and flew and flew. At last he came to the poor little house and looked inside. एक घर के पास पहुंचा, अंदर देखा. The boy was lying on the bed. The mother was asleep. She was so tired. तो माँ बेचारी थक के सो गई. बच्चा भी बीमार. He flew in and put the great red jewel on the table. तो उसने जाके टेबल पे jewel रख दिया. Then he flew around the bed, moving the air around the boy's face with his wings. तो बच्चे का बॉडी बहुत गर्म था. So he kept flying over the bed and kept flapping the wings so that the child feels a little better. Oh, said the boy, my face does not feel so hot. I think I'm getting better, and he fell asleep. तो बच्चा फील किया ना, सो गया. Then the swallow flew back to the happy prince. It is strange, the swallow said. It is very cold, but I feel quite warm. Why do you think does the swallow feel warm? What warmth is the swallow talking about? Yes, so I'm checking some answers. So, you know what? Whenever, yes, Advika, Salvi, good deed made him feel warm. Whenever you help someone, whenever you do a good deed, you feel warm from within. No, Amberlin, it has got nothing to do with God. Okay, of course, God blesses you when you do some good work. But the warm feeling is about the good deed that you do. And trust me, you will also feel the same. If you go out of your way and help someone, be of some help to someone, you will feel that warmth from within. You will feel good about yourself. Okay? But I appreciate all the answers that you're giving me, everyone. Good job. You're a wonderful batch. This is because you have done a good thing. ये warmth इसलिए है क्योंकि तुमने अच्छा काम किया है. Said the prince. The little swallow fell asleep. When day came, the swallow flew down to the river for a bath. A clever man saw him. That is very unusually said. That kind of bird here in winter. So there was a very wise man, and maybe the wise man knew that birds usually did not stay. Yes, Gargi, that's not a problem. You and Bhagya can do it together. Yeah. So क्या बात कर रहा था मैं? हाँ, तो वो जो वाइस आदमी था, उसको शायद पता था कि ऐसे बर्ड्स विंटर में यहाँ पे नहीं रहते. तो उसने बोला कि पहली बार देखा है कि ना ठंडी में तो कोई बर्ड है जो नहा रहा है. ठंडी में तो इंसान भी नहाने से डरते हैं. विंटर्स में तो ऐसी बर्ड होती नहीं है. So this gives us an idea that despite the problems that the bird was going through, the cold, it still stayed there because even the bird's heart was made up of gold, right? Yes, Shreya. चलिए आगे बढ़ेंगे. I must write that down. I will go to Egypt tonight. Thought the swallow. Swallow ने खुद को बोला, क्या बात है, आज मैं इजिप्ट चला जाऊंगा, मजा आएगा दोस्तों के साथ. When the moon came up, he flew back to the happy prince. Can I do anything for you in Egypt? Egypt में कुछ करूँ तुम्हारे लिए? Little bird, said the prince. Please, will you stay with me for one more night? एक और रात रह जाएंगे आप यहाँ पर. My friends are waiting for me, answered the bird. Far away across the city, said the prince. I can see a young writer in a little room at the top of a house. He is sitting at a table that is covered with papers. At his side, there are some dead flowers. He is trying to finish a story, but he is very cold and he cannot write. There is no fire in the room and he is weak and hungry. So the bird said, मुझे जाना होगा, मेरे दोस्त वहाँ हैं. तो इसने बोला कि एक रात रुक जाइए. बहुत दूर मेरे सिटी में मैं एक यंग राइटर को देख पाता हूँ. Excuse me, please, for that. He said, I can see a young writer in the little room at the top of her house. He is sitting at the table. टेबल पे बैठा हुआ है and is covered with papers. कुछ लिखने की कोशिश कर रहा है और उसके बाजू में कुछ डेड फ्लावर्स हैं. वो कोई एक स्टोरी फिनिश करने की ट्राई कर रहा है, बट इतना ठंड है वहाँ कि वो लिख नहीं पा रहा है और उसके रूम में फायर भी नहीं है और खाना भी नहीं है। एंड गाइस, मैंने कल या परसों ही सुना था, यू कैन हैव नो फ्यूचर इफ यू आर हंग्री। दिमाग तब सोचता है जब पेट भरा होता है। अगर पेट खाली है, अगर पेट रो रहा है, तो दिमाग कुछ नहीं सोच सकता। सो लेट अस सी इसके लिए क्या करना पड़ेगा swallow को। I will wait with you for one more night, said the swallow kindly. What shall I take to him? Take him one of my eyes, said the prince. Guys, what color were his eyes? What color were his eyes? Yes, blue. You will not write sapphire. Nobody will write sapphire. That was just an additional information for you. खाली आपके information के लिए मैं आपको sapphire बोला, but sapphire नहीं लिखना है, सिर्फ blue लिखना है. I hope I'm clear. All right, take him one of my eyes, said the prince. They are made of beautiful blue stones. The young man can see it and buy wood and food. He can finish his story. Take out your eye, dear prince, said the swallow. I cannot do that. And he began to cry. Who is he over here who's crying now? Yes, it's a bird, the swallow. swallow ने बोला ऐसा कैसा आपका आंख निकाल दूं, मैं नहीं कर सकता ऐसा. Do it, said the prince. So the swallow took out the prince's eye and flew away to the young man's room. It was easy to get in because there was a hole in the roof. Now, do you understand, guys? Why was this writer feeling cold? He was feeling cold because, of course, there was no firewood in the room, and also एक hole था, तो वो hole से ठंडी जो हवा थी घर में आ रही थी. So through that hole, the swallow entered the room. The young man was sitting with his head in his hands, and he did not hear the bird's wings. When he looked up, a beautiful blue jewel was lying on the dead flowers. उसने देखा नहीं कि बर्ड वहां पर है, तो हमारा जो swallow था वो रख के चला गया. उसने अपनी आंखें खोली तो देखा तो वहां डेड फ्लावर्स के ऊपर ब्लू कलर का जूल पड़ा हुआ था. Someone likes my story, he says. He says someone likes my stories. किसी को लगता है मेरा स्टोरी पसंद आ गया. He cried happily. This is a gift from someone who has read my books. Now I can finish writing this story. On the next day, the swallow flew down to the river. He watched the seamen as in the men who work on the ship. They were working. I am going to Egypt, he cried. But no one listened to him, of course. Who would be able to understand कि bird क्या बोल रहा है? When the moon came up, he flew back to the happy prince. I've come to say goodbye to you, he said. Little bird, said the prince, please will you stay with me for one more night? Prince मरवा के मानेगा, हाँ. Prince मरवा के मानेगा, हाँ. ऐसा bird सोचता रहेगा, है कि नहीं? सही बोला कि नहीं मैंने? ठीक है, चलिए आगे बढ़ेंगे. It is winter, answered the swallow. The snow will soon come. In Egypt, the sun is warm and the trees are green. Dear prince, I must leave you, but I will never forget you. A little girl is standing there in the square below. She is selling eggs. Her eggs have fallen on the ground and they are broken. She has no money to take home. Her father will hit her. Take out my other eye and give it to her. दूसरी आग भी लेके जाओ. I will stay with you for one more night, said the swallow, but I cannot take your other eye. You will not be able to see. Do it, said the prince. भाई ने बोला करने का तो करने का. है क्या नहीं? So the swallow took out the prince's other eye and flew down with it. He flew to the girl and put the jewel in her hand. This is a beautiful piece of glass, cried the little girl. She ran home laughing. Then the swallow flew back to the prince. You cannot see now, he said, so I will stay with you. Such a nice heart the swallow has. No, said the poor prince, you must go to Egypt. I will stay with you. उसने बोला कि नहीं, मैं इधर तुम्हारे साथ ही रहूंगा. बराबर. Repeated the swallow, and he slept on the prince's feet. The next day he stayed with the prince. He told the prince stories about the strange land that he knew. Why do you think that the swallow knew about strange lands? Well, let me check your answers. Yes, these birds keep migrating to various places. So he kept saying stories of all the different and weird places to the prince. Dear little bird, said the prince, you're telling me about strange and wonderful things. But the sufferings of men and women in is stranger than anything. Fly over the city, little bird. Tell me what you see there. तो उसने बोला कि यार तुम मुझे जो अच्छी सी चीजें बता रहे हो वो अच्छी बात है, पर तुमको मालूम है दुनिया में इंसान के दुख से ज्यादा स्ट्रेंज और अजीब कुछ नहीं है. थोड़ा घूम कर मुझे बताओ ना पूरे मेरे सिटी के बारे में क्या चालू है. So the swallow flew over the great city. He saw the poor people sitting at the gate. He flew into the dark streets and saw the white faces of hungry children with sad eyes. Under a bridge, two little boys. Okay, so उसने देखा दो छोटे से लड़के एक ब्रिज के नीचे ठंडी में भूखे बैठे हुए थे. Two little boys were lying close together to keep warm. We are so hungry, they said. You cannot lie here, shouted a guard. तुम यहाँ पे नहीं रह सकते. Then the swallow flew back and told the prince, I am covered with fine gold, said the prince. Take it off piece by piece and give it to my poor people. मैं पूरा का पूरा गोल्ड से बना हुआ हूँ, तो एक काम करो, पूरा का पूरा जो गोल्ड है मेरा उसको निकाल लो और जाके सबको दे दो पीस बाय पीस. जितने भी मेरे शहर में लोग हैं सबको दे दो. The swallow pulled off the gold until the happy prince looked grey and ugly. So उसने पूरा का पूरा गोल्ड निकाल दिया and now the prince looked grey and ugly. The swallow took the gold to the poor and the children's face became brighter. They were all happy. We have bread now, they cried, bread as food. Then the snow came. Ice followed the snow and hung down from the roofs of the houses. Everyone wore thick coats. The little swallow became colder. He did not leave the prince because he loved him very much, but he was dying. Goodbye, dear prince, he said. I am glad that you are going to Egypt, said the prince. You have stayed too long. I am not going to Egypt, said the swallow. I am going to the house of God. It fell down dead at his feet. Then there was a strange sound inside the statue. Crack! The metal heart broke into two pieces. So, guys, what do you think? Why did the metal heart, break into two pieces? Answer in the chat, please. Okay, because the prince also loved the swallow, and when the swallow died, the prince could not bear the pain, and that's how his heart broke, and that marked the end of the statue and the swallow bird. Let us see. Picture अभी बाकी है. Early next morning, an important man in the city was walking below with two of his friends. Important man who could be the VIP. एक VIP नीचे घूम रहा था. He looked up at the statue. The happy prince does not look very bright, he said. The red stone has disappeared. His eyes are not there and he is not golden. He looks like a beggar. Just see हम इंसान कैसे सोचते हैं. Yes, he does, said the man's friends. Here is a dead swallow at his feet, said the officer. We must make an order that birds cannot die here. Do you see, guys, how cruel we human beings are? We do not even let animals die where they want to die. Death is not in our control. इंसान मरने के लिए कहीं पर ही मर सकता है. पर हमारा इंसानों का अगर बस चले तो हम उसमें भी restrictions डाल दें. है कि नहीं? They pulled down the statue of the happy prince and put it in the fire. Why did they put it in the fire? Why do you think that they put the statue in the fire? Because they can melt the metal. They can melt the metal and make something else out of it. Not because it's not made up of gold. Of course, that is one of the reasons that he is no more made up of gold. But they would melt it and make something different, something more useful out of it. That is why they threw it and put it in the fire. All right. A stream of bright metal ran out. This is strange, said the workman. The broken piece in the middle of the statue has stayed hard. तो जो हार्ट जो था उसका वो मेल्ट ही नहीं हुआ. We must throw it away. So they threw it away with the dead bird. God said to his servants, bring me the two best things in the city. Who are the servants of God? Angels, yes. तो भगवान ने अपने एंजल्स को बोला दो ये सिटी में जो सबसे दो अच्छी चीजें हैं उनको लेकर आओ. They brought him the broken heart and the dead bird. Why do you think were the broken heart and the dead bird called the best? Yes, because they were the kindest in the entire city. Yes, you have brought the right things, God said. This little swallow will sing forever in my garden, and the happy prince will stand in my city of gold. So basically, where did these two go? Let me see your answers. Where exactly did these two people do? These two go? Heaven, right? So students, we will answer certain questions. So let us answer this question here. Why did the servants of the God take the broken heart and the dead bird to God? Jaldi se answer in the chat. Come on, come on, come on. Answer in the chat. Let me see your answers. Come on. Because the God asked them to bring the best from the city, and these two were the kindest and the best that were present. Okay, now let's answer this one. Why do you think? What do you think was a part of the statue which did not melt? Which part of the statue did not melt? Yes, it was the metal heart, the Happy Princess metal heart. Let us go for this one. In what state did the important man in the city see the statue? In what state? In what state, as in what situation, in what condition did he find the statue? Yes, it looked poor, it looked ugly, it looked like a beggar, and it saw that the jewels were not there and it was no more coated with gold. Alright, let's answer this question. Let me see your answers. Yes. The people in the city were poor, they did not get food, and they were very poor, so they couldn't buy anything. And there were two children with sad eyes and hungry faces. People looked very sad. Right. Okay. Let's answer this question, everyone. Yes. So after removing the other eye, the prince would not be able to see anything, and he would turn blind. Okay. Why did the swallow wish to go to Egypt? Because the weather was turning harsh and it would snow anytime soon, and also because his friends were in Egypt, and because in Egypt the sun was warm and the trees were green. This answer, everyone. Come on, quickly. He concluded that someone liked his stories, and the blue jewel is a gift from someone who read his stories. Yes, good answer. Come on, this answer. All right, I'm checking your answers, everyone. Because it was very cold, as he had no fire at his house, and he was very weak and hungry. Right. No, Mike. What are you talking about, yaar? इसका आंसर बताइए. Yes, that the bird was bathing in the river, and in the times of winter, usually birds are not seen there. Okay, I think we have discussed these questions. Now we will just quickly solve certain activities. Come on, tell me what is the first question? Is the first sentence true or false? ओमकार from चेंबूर, what summary do you want, बेटा? क्या summary? पूरा चैप्टर पढ़ा दिया मैंने आपको. The writer of the story is William Blake. चेक तो करो कौन है. No, it's not William Blake. No, no, Omkar, I'm not going to ask the story. The summary, I wanted to get some message. What message did you get? But anyway, we'll do the true or false first. Everyone admired the statue of the Happy Prince. Second one, true or false? True. Okay. The mother was working when the swallow brought the yellow jewel. Then what was she doing? If she wasn't working, then what was she doing? She was asleep. And what about the jewel? Did she get the yellow jewel? Red jewel. Okay, and the two best things that the servants brought to God were gold and the jewel stones. Okay, now guys, let me tell you what are homophones. Homo matlab same, phones matlab sound. So two different words, okay, words that sound the same but differ in spelling and meaning. Can you give me a homophone for WEAK week? Come on, quickly in the chat. Yes, एक कमजोर वाला वीक है, एक हफ्ते वाला वीक है. ओके. THEIR देयर के लिए THERE देयर. ओके. ब्लू के लिए BLUE ब्लू. SEAC के लिए SEEC. READ रीड के लिए, सॉरी READ रेड के लिए RED रेड. गुड. वेस्ट WASTE वेस्ट के लिए WAIST. गुड. KNWO के लिए NO नो. KNOT नॉट के लिए NOT नॉट. THREW थ्रू के लिए THROUGH. राइट RIGHT राइट के लिए WRITE. ओके. Okay, everyone, with that, we are done with our lecture today. If you have any doubts, you can post your doubts to me right now. I will answer you. Of course, the doubts have to be sensible and valuable, valid. Okay. Thank you so much, Advika, for your kind words. Chali, bye, everyone. See you. Take care. Please stay safe.